So, one angry pagan here, Shadowita. How is everyone? Alright, this one's going to be a little bit less. This one's going to be less angry, but I cannot believe this. Right, this is Andrew Castle lays into Tory chairman Greg Hands on LBC. I cannot believe the bullshit that comes out of this guy's mouth.
There's about a 1/4 increase in frontline NHS staff.
It's falling
since
apart, Greg.
Took over
Come
in 2020.
on, we've got to have a proper chat. It's a
I
nightmare.
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
I'm sure people on the doorstep will be telling you everything.
That's just a clip. It was just the beginning clip. Okay, what the fuck? That gives you a taste.
You need to know. What are you hearing?
Well, actually, I'm hearing that these are going to be a tough set of local elections for the Conservatives. It's the biggest set of local elections each round, each kind of 4-year cycle. We've got a lot of seats to defend. I'm hearing our activist base is pretty fired up, though. The Conservative councillors, Conservative candidates are definitely up for this. But I think it's going to be a difficult set of elections. It's obviously...
Are they up for this?
I'm not telling anything that's not a secret, but last year was obviously not only a difficult year for the country, but a difficult year for the Conservative Party.
No.
But I'm still... I've got confidence in my activists and in my councillors.
Okay, so you're sort of managing expectations already, because you're going to get your bottom spanked completely, aren't you, in the local elections? I mean, that's the bottom line, is you've got these 5 Sunak priorities. And you believe that he might be able to deliver on those. Should we work our way through a couple of them if we get going? Of
course.
Halve inflation, fine. It's on the way down anyway. Will people's mortgages go down by the same amount?
Well, look, mortgage rates, interest rates...
That's an interesting question.
...often track inflation. I don't set mortgage rates and I don't set interest rates. The interest rates are set by the Independent Bank of England, and mortgage providers will then act accordingly. So that's a little bit outside of my control, but it is a prerequisite, I think, to see interest rates fall is to get to grips with inflation. That's one of Rishi Sunak's his top
Okay, well, it's on the way down anyway, so we're expecting that. Growth.
Nice to hear one of this lot actually point that out.
With the economy, what is GDP doing at the moment? Is it up 0.1% or is it down?
It went up in January. It was flat in February. We'd obviously like to see better growth, but we were the fastest growing G7 economy 2021 and...
And why was that? Why was that? Because we fell the furthest.
2022. We've got a good record on growth overall. We just need to see it picking up.
I'm sorry, the Conservative Party have a good record on growth overall. I know he's got to be optimistic, but what the fuck?
Again at the moment.
Make sure national debt is falling so that we can secure the future of public services. Okay, well... Are you really going to come on or even try to sell on the doorstep our public services? Which of these is getting better in the United Kingdom at the moment under a Tory government?
Well, I think actually public services are getting better.
We're
seeing far more nurses, far more doctors. There's about 38,000 extra doctors in the NHS since the Conservatives took over. There's been 50,000 nurses. But
we're losing them at a rate of knots, and this guy...
By the end of next year,
Greg, you must be
teaching. School standards are getting better. I think public services are improving.
You're joking.
No, I'm not. I think actually good public services. We're seeing a lot of transport improve.
I cannot fathom the Tory mind. Like, we're back to the Boris Johnson days again. Just spout bullshit as if it's true as much as possible. What the fuck?
Improvements coming through, town regeneration thanks to funds from the government.
Seriously, I mean, look, it might be only 23 minutes past 7 in the morning, and I might be, slightly not with it yet, but Are you telling the public that are listening to this, my listeners, that public services are improving? The NHS is falling apart. Waiting lists are at an all-time high. There's just been strikes. Unison said yes to the pay offer, but RCN are going out. Police and fire service in London in special measures. Junior doctors are striking. The teachers and nurses, as I say, industrial action. Trains are expensive and unreliable. You got no control of borders. Taxes sky high. I mean, let me just go on and on. Public services are terrible at the moment.
Let's have a look at the bigger picture.
No, let's talk about those individual ones.
Let's have a look at the big. Even the bigger picture doesn't look great.
Record numbers of nurses, doctors. There's about a 1/4 increase in frontline NHS staff.
It's falling apart, Greg. Come on, we've got to have a proper chat. It's a nightmare.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't care. Those are the facts, you bellend.
Obviously, from the COVID pandemic, there is a backlog in the NHS, and that is one of our priorities. Rishi Sunak's
the backlog started. The backlog was there actually before the pandemic started. Yes, it's worse now because of the pandemic, but it was bad enough before the pandemic.
My priorities is dealing with that backlog, but I don't accept the fact that our excellent public service.
Do Tories understand the English language? Did they? What did they get as their level, as their English level? I do not accept the fact. See, I've got to rewind that. That's hilarious. That's actually funny.
Dealing with that backlog, but I don't accept the fact that our excellent public services, of course,
you can't access them.
I don't accept the fact.
Public services, of course,
you can't access them.
Fact that our excellent public service, and that is one of our priorities. Rishi Sunak's 5 priorities is dealing with that backlog, but I don't accept the fact that
you don't accept the fact. It's not like he's saying that this is Andrew's opinion. He's saying he doesn't accept the fact. This Tory is an idiot because he doesn't accept the actual fact. By my standards, that makes him an actual idiot and a moron. And absolutely contemptuous.
Our excellent public services, of course, we're dealing with the strikes at the moment, but overall, our public services are in a good
before
shape.
that.
I find that absolutely extraordinary that you said that. I respect the fact that you do sit there and you say it as the chair of the Conservative Party.
He's got balls.
But I don't feel that myself, and I don't think my listeners will either. I don't think if you've got 7.5 million plus on a waiting list on the NHS, if it's virtually impossible to get a hold of a GP, if every time you call somebody from HMRC to any other government department, it's a nightmare to get through. I don't think people feel that the country is working. So you've got a job to do.
Well, look, yes, there is a job to do, and the job is making sure that we deliver on the 5 priorities, one of which is to reduce NHS waiting lists. But I'm pointing out that in terms of what the government has put into public services, particularly the NHS,
absolutely deluded.
Has been a big success story. The number of doctors, the number of...
I'm sorry. Say that again, my dude. Say that again.
Out that in terms of what the government has put into public services, particularly the NHS, has been a big success story.
I can't wait to see someone else rip into this. I mean, when I look at him, it's as if he's memorised this all night long, and it's like yes, this is this, and this is this, and it's like he's got Stockholm syndrome. It's like he's been taken hostage.
Number of doctors, the number of nurses. Obviously, that backlog built up during the pandemic.
The backlog built up over 13 years, over 10 years of Tory bullshit, and then it got worse over the pandemic. Get it fucking right.
For reasons that I think are fairly clear.
Right.
And we now need to work away on that backlog.
The NHS waiting lists will fall and people will get the care they need more quickly. That was item 4 on Rishi Sunak's priorities. So what timescale for this? Because he said that in January. Are waiting lists down since January or up?
Well, look, I think we're going to have to give it a little bit more time.
Yeah, they're up.
We are working hard on this. It's not been helped by the industrial action that we've seen.
And why have we had industrial action, Mr. Greg Hands? Because of your mishandling. That's why.
In recent weeks, where the government has made a fair and
maybe not his personally, but still
reasonable offers. It's worth pointing out, for example, that some of the unions have accepted Unison, which represents about a third of all the relevant Agenda for Change staff, has accepted this. The Royal College of Nurses recommended the offer to its members, albeit now rejected. So we have made quite a bit of progress here in solving the industrial relations aspects. It's been a pretty generous offer. The nurses, 4% last year, 5% this year, plus lump sums of at least £1,250 for all NHS staff,
That's right.
all for nurses.
Right.
Actually, it's a pretty good offer the government has made.
Well, okay, but it's tough to get waiting lists down when the Royal College of Nursing are going to strike again, and this time it's emergency care in its A&E and its cancer services, which they're going to include in their next strike. So it's quite terrifying for some people. We'll see what happens with that. We look at a Tory government which is presiding over sky-high taxes at the moment. People are very confused with that. I wonder how you're going to sell that on the doorstep. The higher rate threshold has been lowered. Stealth taxes seem to be a specialisation of Mr. Sunak and Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, at the moment. That's a difficult sell on the doorstep, I'd imagine, as well. If you freeze, as you well know, thresholds until 2028, like most taxes have been, that is in effect, by stealth, a tax increase. How's that going down?
Well, look, we want to see taxes lower, but we have to recognise that the government, and by the way, I think the public think the government did the right thing to step in during the pandemic, support businesses, support livelihoods.
70-odd billion lost in fraud.
And support people during this past winter after...
So sky-high taxes is just what we have to do to pay for what we went through?
Well, look, I think it's had a big influence on that. For example, just this past winter, the government has effectively paid half of people's energy bills through the course of this winter. Obviously, the UK, we're now seeing energy prices more under control. That also links into inflation. There's a lot of good work being done, and we want to bring taxes down as soon as we're able to.
So there you go. That was ridiculous. Like straight up denial. Really, it absolutely is. Wow. I thought it was bad when you had people coming on, when you had ministers coming on to defend Boris Johnson or to do the same thing here, but when Boris was in charge. And look what happened there. Wow. That's just shocking. Well, it's been Shadowita, One Angry Pagan, and that was ridiculous. What? Oh dear. God weird, people. God weird.